Hey everybody, this is Danelle. Hope you're doing well. This week we're going to talk about Bitcoin, the demand for Bitcoin as it continues to rise, and what could be coming for the cryptocurrency and digital asset market moving forward. So you can see here, we're just going to talk about Bitcoin mainly, but if you want to take a little bit more perspective when it comes to cryptocurrencies as a whole and digital assets as a whole, you'll start to see as I go through some of these slides that we're still in the very early stages of adoption in digital assets. So we believe that now is a great time to start learning about Bitcoin, especially, and digital assets, and how it will be the future of finance, how financial products, even stocks, for example, equities, how we trade on a brokerage like a Charles Schwab or Fidelity, that's going to change as well. A lot of this is going to be settled on the blockchain, which will provide speed as well as security, so you don't have to worry about the hacks that happen to all these major banks a lot of times, where we have to find out that our information has been hacked and our private information has been hacked. And so when you use the blockchain and have decentralization and have the security of decentralization, there's a possibility that the financial world will soon, well, not soon, but soon-ish, look into moving and placing a lot of their funds onto the blockchain, because also speed is of utmost importance too. Speed equates to money, especially for these larger institutions and banks all around the world, particularly if you're doing international business. So we're still early. Please continue to keep up with us here at Networkchain. We're going to try to provide as much information as possible. We're also still learning as well, but we're going to provide you as much as we can because we're on this journey together. So as you can see here, Bitcoin's biggest daily moves in history. If you can see here, earlier last week on 11/11, Bitcoin had its largest daily move of over $8,000. Bitcoin is making bigger moves as we move further out in time. And a part of that has to do with the fact that the demand is continuing to grow. As Bitcoin now currently trading in around that $90,000 range, who knows, by the time you watch this, it could hit that $100,000 mark, which everybody is looking forward to and believes is inevitable at this point. It could actually happen sometime this month or before the end of the year, but a lot of people are speculating that for sure in 2022 that it should hit the six-figure mark and continue to grow. If you look at this chart, you can see that money is flowing into ETFs. A lot of money is flowing into investing right now. So you can see here year to date that almost $1 trillion has gone into ETFs. So you can see the biggest fund is the highest traded fund is BOO, which is basically an index that tracks the S&P 500. And you can see, look at number three. Number three, they haven't even been out the entire year. They started towards the end of January when the ETFs were released, the Bitcoin ETFs were released onto the market. And you can see that it is third. It's above QQQ for the inflows that it's had. It's had over $29 billion of inflows into those Bitcoin ETFs, and that's just IBIT. You can see Fidelity, which is the second largest Bitcoin ETF, had over 11 billion flows, going into their ETFs. And so currently, all of the Bitcoin ETFs are just over 1 million Bitcoin. So soon they will be holding more than Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, the founder that no one knows who they are or where they are, if they're still alive. But regardless, they have a wallet that has that 1.1 something around there. Bitcoin has yet to be moved. Many people believe that Satoshi Nakamoto may no longer be with us, but regardless, these Bitcoin ETFs have just as much or about to reach the amount of Bitcoin that Satoshi Nakamoto has. And if you see here, just looking at these numbers for ETFs, it's showing that there's a lot of money that's starting to come back off of the sidelines, particularly after the pandemic and the high interest rates. A lot of bigger funds, a lot of institutions had put money on the sidelines, had been putting it in bonds to at least get some type of yield. and minimize their risk. But now people are looking to get back into the stock market, get back into equities, and now getting into crypto and Bitcoin. So this is just showing us an indication of what's happening when it comes to the demand that is coming into Bitcoin and the ETFs. Now, if we look here, this chart is basically just showing you the amount of Bitcoin that each ETF is holding. So you can see here are the lists of ETFs. You have IBIT, which is the one at the very top. That's the orange. And so they have the most Bitcoin right now. They're holding the most Bitcoin. This general overall line is just continuing to go up and up and up since it came out towards the end of January. Now that we're here in the middle of November, you can see all of the Bitcoin that is being held by these Bitcoin ETFs. So by the end of the year, it's probably going to be up here somewhere. So it continues to go up and to the right. So as I mentioned, demand is continuing to grow into Bitcoin, and now we're seeing municipalities that are also very excited and interested in holding on and accumulating cryptocurrencies. So you have to be very careful though, because do you really want to give your cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin, do you really want to give Bitcoin to your city when it's performing tremendously against the US dollar? There's dollars that continue to be created, and so that's causing obviously inflation, higher prices in homes, in food, basically everything that we do. The price for everything continues to go up year over year over year. With Bitcoin being a finite asset, people want to find a place where they can store value. And so now these municipalities are seeing they need to get in line as well. So the city of Detroit is now the largest city in the United States so far to accept cryptocurrency payments for taxes and other fees. So they announced on November 7th that Detroit residents will soon be able to have the option to pay for taxes and city fees using cryptocurrency, and they will be using PayPal to be able to do so. So as you can see here, Detroit is building a technology-friendly environment that empowers residents and entrepreneurs, said their mayor, Mike Duggan. We're excited to be one of the first major U.S. cities to explore blockchain's civic applications and allow residents to use their cryptocurrency as a payment option. That is huge. Cities to explore blockchain's civic applications and allow the residents to use the crypto as a payment option. So soon you'll get an opportunity to see that you'll be able to have your digital wallet. You can use it from your phone or from your watch, and being able to tap, just like you're tapping your credit card to pay for certain things. It'll be just as easy to do the same thing using cryptocurrency, and it will provide more security and could transact just as fast as when you're transacting using your Visa or your MasterCard. This is the future, so it's important that we continue to learn and focus on what is the future so we can hopefully prepare for a brighter future for ourselves and for our families. Next up, Jersey City. They have a pension fund that had been planning to invest into Bitcoin for several months now, and now after a bit of red tape, they are planning to invest a potential 2% of their entire pension fund. Many people initially were saying, "Oh, well, pension funds should at least consider, investing maybe 0.5% or 1%." But Jersey City is considering going up to 2% into Bitcoin. And soon you'll see that a lot of these pension funds, for example, will start to allocate a little bit more to Bitcoin, because if they don't, they could fall behind everyone else. And so when you're seeing the state of Wisconsin, the state of Michigan, their pension funds are already invested in Bitcoin. Now you're seeing Jersey City, which is the neighboring city of New York City. They're now going to be investing in Bitcoin. Now you can see schools. There's going to be a specific Bitcoin endowment. So endowments are funds that usually are managed for institutions like universities. And you can see here that the University of Austin is partnering up with Unchained, which is a leader in Bitcoin financial services, and they've partnered to create the first long-term university endowment holding Bitcoin. So they're planning on raising $5 million for their university's long-term endowment, and the proceeds will hold Bitcoin for a minimum of 5 years. Why 5 years? Because they want to give Bitcoin at least a full cycle. At least up to this point, Bitcoin has been going in 4-year cycles, which basically coincide with the Bitcoin halving. That's when the rewards for mining Bitcoin, for minting Bitcoin, for putting Bitcoin out into the market, those mining rewards are cut in half about every 4 years. So then it becomes even more and more scarce until we get to that total of 21 million. Once we get to 21 million Bitcoin, that's it. So they're going to give, but Bitcoin is very volatile. So the University of Austin understands that it gets very volatile. It can go up hundreds of percent, and then it can go down as high as 80%, 90% it has in the past. Now, because so many more people are getting involved in Bitcoin, we believe that we're not going to have such drastic drops, but we still could have a 50% downturn. There could be a black swan, and there could be a downturn where Bitcoin goes down 30%, 60%. So they're giving it time for Bitcoin to do what it normally does. But over time, no matter what, over time, Bitcoin still outperforms the S&P 500 and other major indices over time. But you got to give it time. And that's what this Bitcoin endowment will be doing. Another endowment, Emory University out of Atlanta, Georgia. They've put $15.8 million from its endowment into a publicly traded ETF. The private university in Atlanta reported that it purchased nearly 2.7 million shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Mini Trust. The college's endowment is worth more than $10 billion. So they've allocated a small percentage of their endowment, their full endowment, into Bitcoin. And these are just a few. So imagine if all or half of the Bitcoin, half of the universities in the country decide to do this. More demand with a finite supply, basic economics, the price has to go up. So your Satoshis will continue to go up in value. Bitwise, which is one of the firms that have the Bitcoin ETF, they have a top 10 crypto index fund. You can get it publicly, it's publicly traded, you can get it over the counter. So basically it's available like in your IRA accounts, but they have applied so it can be just like the Bitcoin ETFs that are traded now on the major exchanges, like the New York Stock Exchange, for example. So now we're looking at expansion, not just for Bitcoin, but going into other assets as well. In this particular fund, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Avalanche, Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, Polkadot, and Uniswap. So this asset class is growing. So now it's like, okay, Bitcoin has its use case as a store of value. Ethereum is the largest smart contract platform, where there's decentralized finance happening there. There's NFTs that are happening there. Same thing with Solana. So this is just another indication of the growth. We're seeing it right before our eyes, the growth of this cryptocurrency market. And what also continues to grow? The U.S. national debt, now at over $36 trillion. As I speak, over $100,000 in debt added to the sheet, added to the balance sheet. This is why people are so gung-ho about investing into something like Bitcoin, because of its finite supply. You can't continue to print Bitcoin. After it gets to 21 million, that's it. But all these other fiat currencies around the world, and there are several that have basically failed. Look at Argentina. They're having a major issue with inflation. There's a ton of countries around the world that are having major issues with inflation. So people around the world are looking to find something to be able to store some value. And the great thing about Bitcoin and the blockchain is that you can be in control of your funds. All you need is your phone and an internet connection. And you can send money, send Bitcoin without the ridiculous fees of a Western Union, for example. So we just wanted to get you thinking about what is the purpose? Why do people think that Bitcoin is an interesting investment or could be a good investment? These are the things that you want to start contemplating. We appreciate you checking us out here at Networkchain. We look forward to linking up with you soon. In the meantime, take care. Bye-bye.